it can take on any of those types of roles. And then it learns and it can do anything. Like I said, it can also be your drunk best friend. As it starts, as you start to work with it, you can say, honestly, what do you think of me? And what it will do is it'll say, well, the past 6 months, based on what you've put into me, asked me about, I'm going to say that you're kind of a B, or you're too direct, or you're not very polite, or whatever. And it will do that. And it's very shocking. So everyone should kind of try that and say, but try it once you've done it for 3 months, because then it would really have some very good things. And it is shocking how accurate it can be.
Alrighty, it is time to stop hitting snooze and awaken to a life worth being, the fun and inspiring podcast that dives deep into what makes life truly fulfilling. I'm your host, Sue Willoughby, a self-proclaimed badass transformational life coach for women over 40. Join me as I explore the extraordinary journeys of ordinary people who've transformed their lives from the inside out. Tune in weekly to uncover the secrets to smashing through your perceived limits and creating a life that's not just well lived, but totally worth being. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of A Life Worth Being. Today, I have a guest today who has some really interesting things to talk about the world of AI. So my guest today is going to discuss a little bit more about how AI can be a positive force in all of our lives. Today's guest is the brilliant Nicole Hilgenkamp. Did I say that right, Nicole?
Absolutely. Yes.
She is a powerhouse in business and a tech leader with over 20 years of experience driving innovation and digital transformation. As a founder of AIboration and a fractional chief AI officer, Nicole helps companies harness the power of AI to work smarter, lead with heart, and create real, scalable impact. She's a champion for women in tech, a dedicated mentor with SCORE, and has guided over 500 individuals and teams to confidently adapt AI. Practical, people first, and passionate, Nicole is here to show us how technology can elevate, not replace, our human brilliance. Nicole, welcome to the show today.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited always to talk about this topic and how everyone should and could use AI, not just business, but personally as well.
Thank you. I'm excited. Before we hopped on here, we were talking about, like, I do have a tech background and I love technology. I'm kind of a geek about it. It's not always easy to keep up with certain tech trends, but AI is not a trend. It is definitely here to stay. And I would love to have you just start off by telling us a little bit about your background and how you are really focusing on AI right now.
Yeah, a great question. I was in corporate America for the past 20 some years, and we were about to go through a org restructure in which I was a global leader and my job would most likely have been impacted. And after 15 years, I'm like, how am I going to reinvent myself? AI was right around the corner and I started to learn about it. And I was like, this is awesome. It was helping me in my work. I was starting to use it in my personal life. And I really gravitated to it as my next pivot midway through my career, as where I wanted to see my career grow and what there was an absolute need for. The reason I got involved in AI was for a career pivot. I ended up not getting restructured out of the company that I love so much, but I also know that there was a deep need and a passion for me to help others in that same boat and in companies learn how to adopt it, because technology and people, as a sociologist, I went to college for sociology. I love people and groups and how they work together and with technology. And I've been working on that all throughout my corporate existence. All we do every year is go through a transformation in corporate America because everything has been changing so fast, not even AI, but big data and all sorts of other things. And I really started to understand the importance of how people adapt. One of the hardest things in life, other than jumping out of an airplane, public speaking, is change. That's exactly what artificial intelligence is, but times 10. The nice thing about artificial intelligence is one of the easiest things to learn and start to get comfortable with. It will be in all of our lives, and it should be in all of our lives in education. If you're in business, it will help you personally. So it really should be something that everyone starts to get comfortable with. AI for good is great. I hope to see the cure for cancer someday come from AI, but I also know that people need to understand it so that they can understand the risk and the regulation and do it safely so that there can be more AI for good.
I like that AI for good. It scares a lot of people. And they're like, "Oh, it's gonna take my job. It's gonna do all this other stuff. It's gonna like for example, for you, it saved your job, right?"
So,
So
yes.
tell us a little bit about what are the biggest fears that you encounter with people and AI, whether it be in business or personal or whatever.
Yeah, let's talk about them. Let's break some of them down. So one of them is I lose the job. I'm going to lose my job. And it is definitely a viable concern. And I would say that you would need to understand every job out there needs to understand and leverage AI, whether you're a creative, an educator, or in business. And a lot of people assimilate artificial intelligence for business, but it really is across every spectrum and every career. There are individuals going to college right now that will graduate within 4 or 5 years, and career is no longer available because it would have been something as a knowledge worker that AI could possibly do instead of a person. So the nice thing is if you start to become competent and stay up on it, then you will be able to leverage it in any career. So I've seen some wonderfully beautiful artists who would have been using mediums such as paintbrushes and, colored pencils and so forth, take their creativity into the computer and do phenomenal things and just really change the way in which they become creative. And those are the types of things that we want to, I'm just such a proponent on because it is going to change that's going to change careers. It can make a lot of jobs easy. It can make a lot of people be able to make faster decisions. And AI can be the CEO's strategic partner, and it can be the person that also answers your phone. I mean, right now we're starting to talk about AI agents, which are machines like answering a phone. But then there's a risk. And if you don't start to learn about it, then you're also not going to be able to understand what those risks are. And that when your phone rings and it sounds like your grandchild or it sounds like your daughter, and they're asking for you to wire them money, then it might not be your daughter. It might be one of the AI for bad type things that you should know about so that you don't find yourself in jeopardy. Don't want to find yourself in jeopardy on any spectrum of losing your livelihood because you weren't able to adapt to it and it will continue to adapt and it's happening at warp speed, or that you put your personal data at risk. So that's really why I'm a huge advocate, is because you need to know both. You need to know the good and all of the ways it can enhance your life. And then you need to also be able to understand how are some of the things to watch out for that it could be doing.
And I think that anything for, good or for evil, right? Criminals or ne'er-do-wells are always going to find a way to use whatever it is to scam people or to do something else, whether it's an email or, I mean, my poor mother, when after she passed, I'm like, why is she paying for all these weird things? And it's just like, because they're vulnerable and they don't understand. Oh, it was my granddaughter that, wanted $10,000 wired. It's like, oh, I'll bring it right over. So that's a really good point that you bring up, because I think part of the fear is not understanding how to use it. And the other part of the fear is just what you said, people using technology in the wrong way.
Once you start enabling yourself to learn about those, good and bad, then you will be able to progress in our life. Because if not, we'll see bad things happen. I think people at work are fearful of losing jobs. So I tell leaders all the time that they need to show up for their teams, but anyone in any company at any level should be asking the questions like, why are we not using AI? Because people are using AI, whether their bosses know it or not. They just might not be telling their boss that they're using it. And then are they using it in the right way? Or are they putting in all the suppliers database to use it to run their spreadsheet, not understanding that maybe that, now everyone in the world has your supplier list, right? And so that's why companies, you need to not just hand this over to the tech department, they need to know it in every department. Every department needs to handle it differently. HR is going to handle it differently to make sure that they're still able to have fair hiring practices without bias. They can use it to automate a lot of things, but we don't want them to do that with bias. And because the LLMs have been trained on history and that we're not in an equitable world still,
Can you just explain LLM to
large language
maybe the
model Large language model, and that's what is feeding Gen AI, generative AI, which is generating information based on what you prompt it to ask about. Let's break that down a little bit for your listeners. Maybe a lot of people would have in the past decade Googled things like, let me go Google it. You can do a little bit of the same with what's available for LLMs like OpenAI, Perplexity, Claude. When I talk about Googling it, Google has their LLM called Gemini. So there are big companies that have invested a lot to bring all the information into one place to get it to you very fast and to allow it to reason and bring together a very thoughtful response versus just regurgitating a list of information that Google would have done for you. Now it actually starts to think about what you are asking it and it presents you back the information in a way in which you ask. A lot of people also will get frustrated with utilizing artificial intelligence when they try to Google it with a very, tell me how to get to this place or what is the Mexican place restaurants in my city, because they might get a little bit of the same response. But if you say, what are the Mexican places in my city that are within this price range that are not busy at this time that I can go to and utilize my senior citizen discount, right? Then you're going to get all of that
specific?
information put together. So
Right.
that's where the artificial intelligence that uses LLMs, large language models that have been created to learn based on what you're asking. So if you ask something that you don't know, it's taking note of that so that it will learn that for the next time. It's also taking note of your personality, how you ask, any information you give it. Like if I say, my name is Nicole and I'm looking or write a letter from Nicole, they're going to be like, oh, you're Nicole. So next time I log in, it might say, hey, Nicole, is that you? And not only are you able to now prompt into generative AI, you can now talk to it. You can talk to it on your mobile phone and you can ask it prompt it the same question. You can even have a conversation. You can role play with it. I have it sometimes when I'm about to give a speech, I have it listen in and pretend like it's my coach and it tells me you went too fast, you needed to slow down. So it's not just all about keying into a prompt. It's also, you can now start to use it with audio.
So I just want to go back and touch on something. When you say the large language model and it's out there scouring and compiling and responding and all of that. And then you also said something about someone using it to take care of their workload by uploading all the customer database information. And I think that that's what people don't understand. Unless it's a closed model, it's going to be out there on that large language model somewhere, and somebody else can find that stuff pretty quickly, right? Is that what I'm understanding?
Absolutely. Just like a picture on the internet, it can never get it back. Anything that you put into an open large language model is going to be learning from everything that you put in. There are
Yeah.
very few, like Claude is one by Anthropic that has some nice parameters, but they're public. When they want to use one for their company, they have to create a little bit of a mini LLM that has their company data in it. It would take your company data in this LLM and then compare it against LLM so that there wasn't it feeding the large language model that is open source.
Yeah. And that is one safety precaution because it's so, like you said, it's so easy to, post stuff. And I remember back in the day when people would start posting their photos and everything like that. And then they go to apply for a job. And the first thing I did would be like, look them up. And I'm like, oh, wow, you might not want to have that information out there. But once it's out there, it is out there.
everyone needs to learn. And that's why, you have to start to embrace and learn those types of things. And the nice thing I like about large language models is you can learn anything from it. And so if you're a little bit fearful, tell that tell the AI that you're fearful. Say, I'm learning this for the first time. Tell me about how to prompt to get really good information from you. Pretend you're a prompt engineer and ask for how I would put together a meal plan. Or you might say, what are the things I need to know? And send it to me every week about AI so that I can make sure that me and my family and our data is safe. It can provide you any information to help you learning, to role play. And so you can use it and even the fear that you have with it. And you can tell it that you have this fear and have it give you some information about ways to make sure that you're doing it safely.
Interesting. And like you said, you can also customize it and have it play a specific role. I use it in a lot of different ways. I've used ChatGPT, which is OpenAI. Then I've also used Claude and Perplexity and a few others. But it's interesting how sometimes I'll throw it out there to compare and contrast, and they all have a little bit different spin on things. I've worked with ChatGPT the most, and by having it read transcripts from my podcast or other materials, I've gotten it to a point where it pretty much can sound like me when it responds to something. So I'll say, use my brand voice mixed with craft this thing. Now, I never take exactly what it puts out, which is another thing that I think people don't always, they just go like, "Oh yeah, that sounds great." Boom, and just pop it out there. So tell us a little bit more about giving it a role. Like you are a top-notch marketing expert or whatever, or like you said, you are a health whatever. What is a good diet plan or something like that? Tell me a little bit about giving it some roles and how that works.
Yeah. And so when AI should always have a human in the loop. Okay. Always.
Mhm.
And what we'll see is as it is able to do some of the jobs of the humans, then it will create new jobs, like someone that needs to monitor those automations is a perfect example, and someone to make sure that it's not hallucinating. So large language models can hallucinate and they can come up with bad information. And if you're not cautious and you don't have a human in the loop and you're looking at it before you go and put it on your website or whatever the case may be, then you might find yourself on the other side of bad. So you always want to have a human in the loop. It can make things 10 times faster, but you should always be verified. It should always be verified. And if you find that it's doing bad things, like it's giving a bias, I would like, there was one day that I said, give me a picture of a CEO in a lilac suit. And of course, 4 men cropped up in suits. And I'm like, nope, CEOs are not only men, they are female and they might like to wear lilac as well. But then I would like you to start to think about diversity. When I ask for an image of individuals, I want you to give me a diverse image of any type of individual. So that's the type of bias that I'm talking about. Now, when I say act as, and what I would ask the audience to consider is that what would AI do? That's what I say to myself in anything that I do. What would AI do? Meaning, can AI do this for me? What would they tell me about this? And how could they do it for me? And AI can be anything from your therapist to your tax accountant. And if you have great thought leaders that you love the way that this person markets, you love the way that this person sounds, you love this author, you could have the AI take that persona and you could say, and feed it a little bit of like, here's Bren Brown's theories on, or it will already know that, by the way, pretend you're Bren Brown and you're giving me advice about X, it would take on that persona when it gave you that advice. If you don't know how to prompt, you would say, pretend you're a prompt engineer, and you want to, what would he do in this situation? It can take on those personas or it can take on just a role, like a character in which prompt engineer, the best chef in the a Michelin star chef, etc. It can take on any of those types of roles. And then it learns and it can do anything, like I said, it can also be your drunk best friend. You can say, honestly, what do you think of me? And what it will do is it'll say, well, but past 6 months, based on what you put into me, I'm going to say that you're kind of a B, or you're too direct, or you're not very polite, or whatever. So once you've done it for 3 months, because it is shocking how accurate it can be. I do that every 6 months. I say, how am I sounding? You pretend you're my business coach. And what are the things that you know about me? And what would you tell me that I could work towards improve? And I was shocked when I saw it for the first time, how dead on accurate it was in its assessment of me and what it told me that it thought I could improve.
Oh my God. Okay, that's a new one. I had not heard that, but that is a good exercise, especially if you've been using LLM as a business tool and you say, whatever, and they'll be like, you're an idiot. No. I like that the drunk best friend. Gonna be honest with you, you're not exactly hitting the mark there, friend. That's pretty cool. I'm gonna try that when we get off this call. I'm gonna try that. I'll let you know what happens. So
Okay.
we've kind of been talking about, business and so forth. And somebody that is, not in business one way or another, they want to learn more about it. And I like that you said ask AI how to learn more about it. What's an easy thing that they can do? What is the simplest form of AI in everyday life right now?
Yeah, I'm a big Perplexity fan because it's a great research tool. Now, it doesn't do all the fancy things that maybe OpenAI does. And so I would say to start with Perplexity or Claude. Those are the two I would say. Start with one of them. Maybe if you love Google, you want to start with Gemini. Maybe it's already on your computer. So start with one that's on your computer. And if you need to Google it, Google one last time in your life to find one that you can try. Then a text prompt would come up to say, how can I help you today? And start with something simple to ask a question to the large language model and see what you get back. It will always ask you a prompt after it tells you something like, can I help you learn more about that? Did you want me to tell you more about the statistics? Start clicking some of the prompts that it gives you, and then it will start building on that. It's going to start to open a flywheel of some things that you can continue to ask about. As you get comfortable with it, keep prompting the power of the prompt. And then after you've done that for a while, then there'll be a day that you take a picture of your refrigerator and say, what should I make for dinner tonight? And it'll tell you, and you'll be shocked. And it just keeps going from there. And that's how people start to really learn how it can be a help in your life. They start to get comfortable. They start to get confident. They start to learn more. And then I feel like it saves people time in their personal life. It helps them. I don't know how many conversations that I might have had with my daughter that I was like, what should I do as a parent? Like, how do I respond to that? And it's like, give her some time, rebuild the trust. And I'm like, oh, thank you. I didn't have to set up an appointment to go see a therapist. And we live in a need for immediate gratification to solve our problems. Also, people are starting to get more anxious in the world. And so let AI help you with some of those things, build on your use cases and your scope in which you use it, and then you'll learn how to be safe with it as well. But it is all about dipping your toe in the water, and just dip your toe in the water, ask one question or a couple or five, because some people have went in and they've gotten a little frustrated and they're like, I'm done, which is what happens with every technology. If they don't get a good first impression, then they walk away and they don't adopt. But don't let that be the case here, because if you do that, then you're gonna be further down, further around, away from being able to utilize it. And if you ever want to order a hamburger at McDonald's and you're not somewhat equipped on how to use kiosks and do some of those things, there'll be a time that you will be able to get a hamburger. Practically, it's practical. It's practical, and I almost want to write a book about how to deal with the machine on the other end of the phone, because I mean, my husband still thinks that he can push talk to agent, and there will be that day that talk to agent is not going to be there.
Someone told me one time that if you cuss loudly continuously, then will automatically pick up on that and put you through.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. But we just all have to adopt, because again, we won't be able to get what we need of services to take care of ourselves in life if we don't learn how to work with humans and machines. And that sounds really, non-compassionate, but we have to learn to work in a world that can be our reality because it is our reality and going to continue to be our reality.
So, yeah, that makes sense. But let me play devil's advocate here for a little bit because we talked about AI for bad, right? And the example was, someone reaches out to you on the phone and you think it's your kid or you think it's your cousin or your whatever. And, so when you talk about not being able to order a hamburger or getting some customer service or whatever, how can people learn to trust that the AI on the other end of the line is legit and going to do the right thing with their information? Do you know where I'm going with that?
Absolutely. So, what I would tell you from a family perspective is always in your family and even your extended families have a family safe word so that you can always verify your family members. We have a family safe word. If I say, then tell me what that is, obviously the AI would not be able to do that. Then that's our way to protect ourselves from that in that case. Those are the types of things that you kind of have to build in, that you have to build in, and you're going to have to learn to adapt to. You gave me another example of ways to make sure that you're safe other than via voice. If it gives bad
Oh,
information, what else?
yeah. Eventually, when you call, the talk to agent is not going to be an option anymore. It's just you get AI or you get nothing.
Everywhere you go, they're just like pay here, swipe here, tap here, etc.
Right. Yeah.
And, and now they have where you can it reads your palm and pays for you. So your palm is attached. The crevices of your palm are attached to a scanner that you can go
Wow.
like this and pay. So I think, like, for instance, there's not a lot of people that are going to replicate that palm. So I would, there's some possible safety in that, but I always check but verify. And again, ask AI, is this safe? But I think we're going to see regulation. I think we're going to see things like sometimes I don't do business with businesses that are not in the Better Business Bureau, right? There'll be things that are like this type of well-known company that you would trust. So you got to look for those trust factors and things that you do that have high integrity, and that making sure that you're doing business with those types of employees businesses that show that, etc. And I can't. There's just so many. How do I tell if I'm talking to a customer service person? How do I stop getting the phone to ring at my 81-year-old mom's assisted living place? Like, I was there in the afternoon and there was 5 spam calls. And I'm like, how do I stop it? Right. And so I will continue. Days when I'm there, say, I block callers. The next weekend, same thing happens. How do I need to take this off of everyone's do not call list? How do I put something in front of it that automatically says, like, if you're a solicitor, stop here, that stops the robots. There's just things that you can do, but each one of them will be different based on what's happening.
Yeah, that's a lot. When you put it out there like that, our elderly population, which is where I'm headed in the not too distant future, or people that just don't have an understanding of all of this. Even now, when they get paper mail that is spammy or stuff, it feels like it's going to be bigger in some ways. And I know that you're an AI person. I love technology. We started out that way, but I also worry about the scary parts of it, right? And protecting our vulnerable population, whomever that may be, grandma, grandpa, whatever. And even tech savvy people, every once in a while, I'll get an email. I'm like, I know how to check for those things to like, is this a fishing expedition here or is something going on? And I think corporations are becoming more and more, uh, adopting technology, you're adopting AI, you're doing all this stuff. How quickly are we trying to get ahead of, from a social aspect, right? Ahead of the bad guys when it comes to AI.
Yeah, not enough. I mean, we don't have enough people in cybersecurity in that career. It's just a booming career. They're offering free training right now, and some of the best bodies of knowledge just to get people ready for the demand that's going to happen. Regulation across the globe is a little bit different on the rigor that it's going to put and the regulation that it's going to put in place. Usually Europe leads the pack in regulation, and so they have the most stringent. And so I always kind of watch what Europe's doing and then I see what the United States is going to do, Canada, et cetera. But that's why I think it's just important to Leverage AI and learn because it will tell you regulation. It will tell you how to safeguard. If you're at least know how to use it well to get information, then it's going to give you the information on safeguards that you can take in your personal and professional life. And companies need to get a little bit more ahead of it because it just is going to happen. Like companies will get hacked and we're also saying that the first single person trillionaire is going to be made from AI, right? So it just is evolving fast. And
Tell me
that's
about
why,
that. Why you said, that the first trillionaire will come from AI.
yeah, the first single person, because normally you would need a big business to make $1 trillion. Now you can automate your entire staff with agents that do the work for you and do it to the masses, right? They can automate all the marketing, like everyone's email. They can call all these people to make a sale. They can sell one thing and sell another thing the next week and another thing to the same person. So because the automation ability is so great with artificial intelligence, that's how it's going to make a trillionaire out of one person.
Okay, just because of they don't need a big, huge corporation with a lot of support staff, although there still has to be some humans involved, as we discussed earlier, to make sure they're not sending BS out there in their
Yeah.
market. Right. Wow, a tech person, and I love it, and sometimes I have a love-hate relationship with technology, especially social media, but it's there, it's a necessary evil. It can be used for good and all of that. I would love for you to, as we're kind of wrapping up here, so we didn't scare the pants off of everyone, which we may have accomplished. If we scared the pants off of you, good, because that will have you be a little bit more cautious when you use AI or when you start to encounter it, right? Right?
Yes, and the sense of urgency to need to use it. If I scared you today, it was hopefully to urge you to learn to use it
Right.
so that you can safeguard yourself. But I'm going to tell you that I have not had a bad experience using it every day, 15 times a day for the last 6 months. Have I had it harm me? It has done everything but enrich me. It has saved me time, it has saved me stress. It has made things faster. It has done more good than it ever has bad. And I don't know how I can live without it. I don't know how I can live without it because I don't want to go back to the day where I have to pull a recipe card out. And I don't want to go back to the day that I have to crunch the Excel spreadsheet numbers, make a PowerPoint slide by slide. Don't want to go back to those days. And therefore I won't.
There are some really great tools out there, and I do utilize a fair bit of them. It's just like anything, you start by checking out a few things and then you're scratching the surface. What is the best way for people to get started with AI? And I know you mentioned a couple of tools, but if they're even afraid to, like, I don't want to put my name into, Chat
Yeah.
GPT or whatever. Is there a simple thing? Is there a course or anything that we can point people to if they're curious? I know you said Google, right? So you can Google something and just say, what's the easiest way for me to learn AI?
Yeah.
Is that
What are please use AI though. Please Google one more time to make sure that you can find the perplexity that Claude or whoever you're going to use as your AI. And then it's okay to put, as long as I'm not putting my name and address and phone number in, you can ask it a question. It's not going to know it's you. It's not going to know it's
yeah.
you until you put your name and address in it. So then ask it questions and do some of those things. But the other things I would suggest is to get involved in one newsletter. Do not overwhelm yourself. There are a bazillion newsletters out there around artificial intelligence and see what's happening. You will then learn, you will then be able to keep up on terminology, where the investments are being made, what regulation is going in, the coolest tools to use, hacks for your life, all of those things. So a newsletter, a community of people that you trust, like women. I'm involved in 3 different places of communities of people that are using it. I learn from them. We laugh about it. We cry about it, but I feel safe in that community because it's a community of like-minded people like myself that we're all in it together. So a community is really important, I think, in wanting to learn about it is so enriching to be in that community and then use it. We talked already about using it. And those would be the 3 things. Again, there is free courses out there everywhere. around artificial intelligence. Beginner, and I would start beginner. I would then advance through that. You can find them all out there. Don't pay for training for artificial intelligence. You don't need to. There will be a lot of people that want to train you for $50. You don't need to do that. You can find a lot of free beginning classes with respectable companies like Microsoft and Harvard and MIT and Coursera that are giving free training. You'll find some people that you resonate with that consistently offer it, and you'll just continue to learn from them. That's my
Oh,
suggestion. But I hope that everyone understands the urgency to know about this, because there's still grandmas that have never said, I'm not going to use a computer. I don't know that there's anyone that has not used a cell phone, because I know even homeless people have cell phones. I don't know how they get them, but they have them. Artificial intelligence is going to impact not just you, what you do, how you use it. The people that you interact with will be using it with you. So you have to be able to make sure that you're both in the equal playing field around it. So there is a sense of urgency, because it will change knowledge workers forever. You want to know about it so that you know how to use it for good. Use it for good, human in the loop, dip your toe in. You can do it.
I love that. You can do it. You can do it. And if you can't, find yourself a 10-year-old, because they can do it. They're brought up on this stuff. So just like, you see little kids playing with cell phones and stuff. I mean, they're just way ahead of the curve. It's not as scary as it seems, and it's coming. It's here, right?
It's here. It's here.
I use it for good. So I know that you're a SCORE mentor. Tell us what SCORE is, just real quickly, for people that don't know.
For small to medium-sized businesses to get business, for companies or for individuals that wants to start or grow their businesses. So it's a group of great professionals that have been in the business world for a while, and they're able to help you do that because they do it with experience. And again, community is everything, and that's the best way to learn. So these individuals have set up companies, they've worked in companies, and they try to match you with someone that has the expertise around the stage in your business that it's in, whether it's just a conception, you're just idealizing, or you're wanting to take it to the next level. That's what SCORE does. It's available in the United States, and look up SCORE, SCORE, and you will find SCORE mentorships for small to medium businesses.
And it is a free service,
Great.
because the experts, the mentors that are there, are volunteering their time. And as Nicole said, they have varying degrees of expertise depending on whatever you're interested in. They also have workshops. I know my friend is our local workshop SCORE chairperson, and that may be a good way to get in on a workshop and learn about AI as well.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else that you would like to do, any mentoring outside of SCORE, or is there anybody wants to learn more about you or learn more about your involvement with AI? What's a great way for people to connect with
Yeah,
you?
I love questions. I love connecting people with communities, people with learning, people with solutions. So I'm available only on LinkedIn. Nicole, Nicole, Hilgenkamp, Hilgenkamp on LinkedIn. You will find me, connect with me, DM me, and I'm here to help. I love to
That
mentor
sounds great.
people and look them up.
Yeah, that's great. I will put that in the show notes. Thank you so much for your time today. That was we were a little bit all over the place, but I mean, I kind of feel like AI brings that on a little bit, where it's like, whoa, and I'm excited about it. I love what you said about, get excited about it, learn about it so that you can bring it into your life in a good way, in a healthy way, in a way that, is less scary, hopefully, and embrace the technology because it's here to stay, and but be safe out there.
Be
Anything else
safe
you'd
out
like to
there. Yeah. And you can do it. We can all do it. It's easy, easier than a phone, easier than a computer. So this is the easiest one.
It's like having a conversation with your drunk best friend.
Go ask your drunk best friend what they think of you if you've been in AI for a little bit, and
I'm do
we're
that
happy
right
for
now.
you. Oh, you just see the results.
Nicole, thank you for your time today. This has been really fun. And for everyone out there who is curious about AI, I hope that this has, if you're not using it currently, you will be soon. Share this episode with a friend, rate us, give us a 5-star rating so that we can bring you more interesting and exciting content like this. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I will be back next week with yet more amazing information. Thank you for listening to today's episode of A Life Worth Being. I hope you found it fun and inspiring. And to avoid a bad case of FOMO, please be sure to click that subscribe button. If you love what you heard today, please share it with a friend and then hop on over to your favorite podcast platform and return the love with a wonderful review and 5-star rating. It would truly mean the world to me. Be sure to follow me on Instagram and on my website. Links below in the show notes. I appreciate you, and I will see you next week for more fresh insights on awakening a life worth being.